Commanders, the battlefield just got an upgrade. The Thunderbolts have landed in Marvel Strike Force as the brand new Bio Raid team. And it's time to see if they've got what it takes to dominate the Bio Raid lane. In this video, I'll walk you through each member of the team, their roles, T4 upgrade priorities, Iso-8 class recommendations, and of course, I'm going to drop the complete infographic so you know exactly how to build them. If you're aiming to crush the chaotic storm raids and stay ahead in this game, this is the team and the guide you need. And the first member of the Thunderbolts team who we are going to cover is one of the reworks, Anthony Masters, aka Tony Masters, aka Taskmaster. This guy is amazing, and I'm really glad that this character got a rework for Marvel Strike Force. Let's go and take a look at his kit and see what T4s we are going to put on him. So his basic ability is Imitating Strike. He's going to attack the primary target for 250% damage and transfer 3 positive effects excluding Taunt from the primary target to himself. Now the T4 on this is just going to add an additional 50% damage, and for that reason I have decided that this is a skippable T4. Next up we have his special, Adaptive Assault. This special is available on your first turn. It's going to attack the primary target for 290% damage and apply stun, which is really cool. It gains 300% extra focus to do that, so really and truthfully it is quite possible we used to have him as a skirmisher, so that might not be needed underneath the Thunderbolts banner. Rebound chain to 3 adjacent targets for 240% damage and apply defense down. Counterattack will break this chain, and if this character has 3 or more non-summoned Underworld allies or 4 or more Thunderbolt allies, this attack cannot be counterattacked. So basically, as long as he's got his 4 Thunderbolt allies, the chain will never be broken. He'll always rebound to 3 adjacent targets. The T4 on this is another just pure damage upgrade. 60% extra damage, making that 350% damage to the primary and secondary targets. And because it is just a damage upgrade, again, this is a T4 that you can honestly skip. Incendiary Arrow. This is the ability that he is most well known for. This also is an opening ability, but does come with a 6-turn cooldown. You're going to attack all enemies for 240% damage and apply bleed for 2 turns. You're going to apply blind and heal block to the primary target and 2 additional random enemies. Bonus attack all enemies with bleed for 200% piercing. So this is a huge attack coming in, especially with these rework stats. If this character has 3 or more non-summoned Underworld allies or 4 or more Thunderbolt allies, gain 500% extra focus for this attack. This attack is unavoidable, so it can't be avoided, but the extra focus is to make sure that those bleeds, blind, and heal block land. And the T4 on this is an additional 60% damage, so that is 300% damage to all enemies with the T4. And in war and raids, it's going to apply blind and heal block to all enemies. And because of that, this is a very, very high value T4 and one I certainly will be putting on Taskmaster. Copycat Criminal, this is his passive. He will gain assists now on each mercenary villain or Underworld ally's turn. Now, the reason we used to have him as a skirmisher when he was part of the Underworld team was because of this assist now mechanic that he had. So he would assist, and if you had him as a skirmisher, that would put a vulnerable on the character, and therefore any character that you were assisting that was a striker would then get their follow-up striker Iso-8 attack. However, that doesn't happen under the Thunderbolts. He's going to gain 15% block chance and gain 25% block amount. Gain 10% chance to counterattack plus 10% per mercenary, Thunderbolt or Underworld ally. In war, we can ignore this really because this isn't overly going to matter. But the upgrade to level 5 on this is an additional 10% chance to counterattack plus 10% per mercenary, Thunderbolt or Underworld ally. And it adds an additional 10% block chance. So that puts his block chance up to 25% with a 25% block amount And if you have all your Thunderbolt allies, that is 100% chance to counterattack. And because of that, it's adding more damage, more attacks to the pool. And so because of that, that is an essential T4 on Taskmaster. Next up, we have the second rework, which is Ghost. Now, in the Marvel Comics, this character's identity up until the films was unknown. But now the real person behind Ghost is Ava Starr, as per the Ant-Man films, and obviously she is a character who is going to be in the upcoming Thunderbolts film. Let's take a look at Ghost's kit. Intangible Strike is going to attack the primary target for 250% damage and reduce speed bar by 25%. That is a really, really good basic attack. The T4 on this is going to increase the damage by 50%. So that means that you are going to have a 300% damage on the primary target and reduce their speed bar by 25%. However, that does not mean that it is a T4 ability. You have all the benefits of that basic just out of your T3. So this one is a skip where T4s are concerned. Fatal Flux, this is a special, and it is going to be an ability that you can open with. It's going to apply 2 random negative effects to the primary target and transfer 1 positive effect, excluding taunt, from the primary target to self. It is then going to attack the primary target for 270% damage and gain 2000% extra focus for this attack. The T4 on this is going to apply 50% damage to the primary target and apply 2 bleed to the primary target for every 2 Thunderbolt allies up to a maximum of 4. So for every 2 Thunderbolt allies she has, you're going to get 4 bleeds. So as long as she's got the full team, you're going to put 4 bleeds on the primary target. Now this I have put down as a very, very high value T4, and the reason for that is also to do with the ISO class I have chosen for this character. Quantum Explosion, this is the ultimate, and you do not start with this one. This is actually a turn 2 ability for her. It's going to attack all enemies for 290% damage and prolong all negative effects by 1 on each target. It is going to steal 10% health from all enemies and redistribute to all Thunderbolt and Pimtech allies. This bypasses heal block. This attack is unavoidable, cannot be blocked. It ignores death proof and passives that trigger but when a character drops below a certain health. So this character is going to be really, really clutch for dealing with endgame Thanos, because it will stop his Rain of Fire passive from going off. The T4 on this is going to add an additional 60% damage to all enemies. That means you're attacking them all for 350% damage and is stealing an additional 5% health from them. So that is 15% health. Again, this is a very, very high value T4. Quantum Entanglement. On turn, Ghost is going to gain evade. On Thunderbolt or Pimtech ally dodge, it's going to heal that ally for 10% of this character's max health. Now remember, new stats, new health. This is good. Gain 20% dodge chance, gain 50% chance to counterattack. Don't worry about the Dark Dimension things, because we haven't got a Dark Dimension that we can really test him in at the moment. You could possibly test it in Odin, but on Thunderbolt or Pimtech ally dodge, basically it's going to heal them, the Pimtech allies, so her, because she is still Pimtech, and the rest of it is all related to Pimtech, which is an older team. The T4 on this is going to heal Thunderbolt and Pimtech allies for an additional 5% of this character's max health. So that's in that top part there. So on Thunderbolt or Pimtech ally dodge, heal that ally for 10% of this character's max health. It is also going to give her 5% dodge chance and a 50% chance to counterattack. So she is going to have a 100% chance to counterattack and 25% dodge chance with this T4. Because of that and the extra healing, this I would consider a massively, massively essential T4 for Ghost. Victoria Hand. Now, she looks a bit different to what she does in the comics, but I do like the aesthetic that they've done with her, and I do like the fact that they're keeping her using guns in this. That is quite cool and very, very thematic for the character in the actual comics. Victoria Hand's basic, and I am guessing that the dev who developed this was a massive GoldenEye player from back in the day, because Golden Gun is the new or is the basic. It is going to attack the primary target for 240% piercing and apply bleed. She's going to gain +1 charge up to a maximum of 5. 50% chance to call a random controller ally to attack the primary target, and this attack gains 150% extra focus. Now the T4 on this is going to add an additional 60% piercing, so that's 300% piercing. 300% piercing damage is massive. Piercing damage obviously bypasses armor, so that is 300% damage straight off your opponent without having to worry about the armor value. It'll apply 2 bleeds, which is very good, and it is always going to call a random controller ally to attack the primary target. Because of that, I have put this down as a nice to have T4, that always calling a random controller ally. Now, Taskmaster and Ghost are both controller allies. The problem is it's random. If we only have one controller ally to attack, that would be good. If you could constantly get Ghost to attack with this and reduce the turn bar on the opponent that you've gone to, the target that you've gone at, then that would be really good. But I can see why it's a random controller ally and you've got 2, because if it was just Ghost, that would be pretty broken. And if it was just Ghost, this would be a essential T4. But because there are 2, this is a very nice to have T4. Whirling Blades is her special. Now, this is actually going to be a turn 3 ability. It's going to attack the primary and adjacent targets for 400% piercing and apply vulnerable. Apply 2 regeneration to self and all allies. Gain 2 charged up to a maximum of 5, and this attack gains 500% extra focus and cannot miss. The upgrade to, or the T4 on this one, sorry. So the T4 on this one is going to add an additional 150% piercing. That's 550% piercing. So she is low-key going to do some real big damage, guys. To the primary and secondary targets, and apply +2 vulnerables. Because of that, just the damage, the piercing damage and the extra vulnerables, I have got that down as a nice to have T4. This isn't a definite T4. This is one that you could just add if you had the extra T4s lying around. Data breach. Now, these kits are getting a bit big, and so the next 2 abilities I have put on one slide each so that you guys can see it a bit better. This is her opening ability. It's going to attack the primary and adjacent targets for 250% piercing and apply ability block and heal block. It's going to generate 1 ability energy for self and all Thunderbolt and Shield allies. Brilliant. So that brings her special down to a turn 2 ability. It's going to clear all negative effects on self and all Thunderbolt and Shield allies. Awesome. Clear 2 negative effects on self and all other allies. Brilliant. Heal self and all Thunderbolt and Shield allies for 25% of this character's max health. Again, new stat meta, that'll be huge. Heal all other allies for 10% of this character's max health. So this actually is really cool. They're trying to make a bit of a plug and play character here for a healing perspective. In raids, gain +2 charged up to a maximum of 5, so that's more of that charge mechanic. This attack gains 150% extra focus, is unavoidable and cannot be blocked. The T4 on this, which I have down as a high value T4, is 100% piercing to the primary and secondary targets and apply trauma to the primary and adjacent targets. Now, I've put this down as a high value T4. It is not quite essential because of Songbird. However, I do think that actually you're going to want to use one of the other Songbird abilities first, which actually bumps this T4 up just ever so slightly. Adamantine Spy, this is her passive. On spawn, it's going to barrier self and all Thunderbolt and Shield allies for 30% of this character's max health. She's going to gain +2 charge to a maximum of 5. And in raids, she's going to start with +5 charge up to a maximum of 5. So she's going to start fully charged in raids. In raids, if this character has 4 or more Thunderbolt allies, she is going to generate 4 ability energy for self and all Thunderbolt allies. So now her special is available turn 1. Every ability she has is available turn 1. In raids on turn, she's going to gain +1 charged up to a maximum of 5. So she's always going to gain a charged on her turn, plus whatever charged she gains from her abilities. The first time this character or any Thunderbolt or Shield ally gains stun, clear all stun from self and all Thunderbolt and Shield allies. So she can't be controlled pretty much. She's going to clear that unless you can trauma stun her. She will be able to stay around. When this character or a Thunderbolt or Shield ally drops below 75, 50% or 25% health, if this character has charged, if this character has 4 or more Thunderbolt allies, it's going to reduce the duration of heal block by 2 on that character, and then heal that character for 25% of this character's max health and lose 1 charged. And the T4 on this one, which I have put down as essential, is in raids while charged. When an enemy attacks this character or a Thunderbolt ally, it is going to generate 1 ability energy for 2 random Thunderbolt allies or self that were not at full ability energy at the start of the turn. So when your opponent attacks you, you're going to get ability energy while charged. That is, to me, essential. She is the battery of the team, and so this is an essential T4. Next up, we have Melissa Gold, aka Songbird, and this is a really, really good character. It is an actual Thunderbolts character from the comics, and also just any character that's got like this psionic sort of style of superpower, I really, really love. So Deafening Scream, this is her basic. It is going to attack the primary target for 260% damage and clear 1 positive effect. It's also going to clear 1 negative effect on herself. The T4 on this, which I've put down as a nice to have T4, is going to add an additional 40% damage. It is going to then clear 2 positive effects on the primary target and clear 2 negative effects on self. So the clearing of the positive and the negative effects is what makes it a nice to have T4. Sonic Screech, this is one of her opening abilities. It is going to clear barrier on all enemies. It's going to attack the primary and adjacent targets for 350% damage and reduce their speed bar by 20%. It's huge. That is huge. If this character has 2 or more Thunderbolt allies, it is going to reduce the duration of defense up by 2 for the primary and adjacent targets. It's going to apply defense down for 2 turns. So not only are you going to take away their defense up, you're also, so not only are you going to take away the 50% sort of damage modifier that they've got, the 50% less damage, you're now going to apply defense down, meaning that they're going to be taking more damage from your next attacks for 2 turns to the primary target and adjacent targets. In raids, it's going to apply defense up for 2 turns and safeguard for 2 turns to self and all Thunderbolt allies, and it gains 500% extra focus and cannot be blocked or dodged. The T4 on this one, which I've put down as essential, adds an additional 50% damage. So that is 400% damage to the primary and secondary target. And in raids, it is going to apply speed up for 2 turns to self and all Thunderbolt allies. Now, any of you who've been around for a little while know that Marvel Strike Force is a turn-based RPG game. And because it's turn-based, speed is king. So whenever you can add speed up to your team, that is a really, really good ability. Vicious Aria, this is another one of the abilities that is available on turn 1, and this is her ultimate. It's going to attack all enemies for 270% damage and flip all positive effects into negative effects and apply offense down. If this character has 4 or more Thunderbolt allies, it is going to apply trauma to all enemies. This attack gains 500% extra focus and cannot be blocked. In raids, it's going to reduce the speed bar by 50% of all enemies with any positive effects. It is going to apply immunity to self and all Thunderbolt allies, and this attack cannot be dodged. The T4 on this is going to add an additional 80% damage, so that is 350% damage to all enemies. And if this character has 4 or more Thunderbolt allies, it is going to apply trauma for 2 turns and apply offense down for 2 turns. So they've already got trauma and they've already got offense down from the basic T3. So the T4 basically is just making it for an additional turn, which is very good. And that is why I've put this down as a high value T4, because I actually think that you're going to open with the special rather than the ultimate. Obviously, the AI will open with the ultimate when you've got that, but for yourself, when you're playing the team, you're probably going to open with the special, because that 20% turn rewind plus the speed up will get you ahead of your opponent. Acoustic Kinesis, this is her passive. On turn, she's going to apply +2 deflect up to a maximum of 3 to self and all Thunderbolt allies, and gain a 50% crit chance. In raids, she's going to gain 50% crit damage. Thunderbolt allies are going to gain 50% crit chance and 50% crit damage. And Thunderbolt allies are going to gain 300% focus. And if this character has 4 or more Thunderbolt allies, this character and all Thunderbolt allies cannot gain ability block or trauma until this character takes a turn, which is the T4 on this one. Now, I will say one thing about this. I've got this down as an essential T4. However, to note, Songbird has a speed of 132. She is number 7 in speed in the entire game. So it is highly unlikely that your opponent is going to get to go before you. But in the odd occasion that they do, not being able to be ability blocked or traumatized, and with Victoria Hand clearing stunned, that means your team before Songbird goes is nigh on uncontrollable. Next up, we have Marcus Milton, aka Hyperion, and this character is also very exciting because he has the Eternals tag on him. Everyone's going to be excited about this, I'm sure. One thing I do want to bring up before we start is the character for Hyperion is really cool in the comics. However, the character of Hyperion in the game, correct me if I'm wrong, but it looks like the villain character from the initial Incredibles movie. Why don't you let me know down in the comments below if you think the same as me. His basic Atom Smasher is going to attack the primary target for 250% damage and apply bleed. It is going to heal himself for 5% of this character's max health, and the bonus attack the most injured enemy for 190% damage. Now the T4 on this is going to add an additional 60% damage to the primary and secondary targets, but as it is just flat damage and not piercing damage, I think this is a T4, guys, that you can all skip. Particle Accelerator is his special, and this is available turn 1. It is going to attack the primary and adjacent targets for 350% damage and apply Disrupted for 2 turns. If this character has 4 or more Thunderbolt allies, it is going to reduce the duration of Taunt on the primary and adjacent targets by 1. So this is another decay effect. Any positive effect that has a duration of 0 expires immediately. He is then going to gain Taunt himself. In raids, apply 2 counter, offense up for 2 turns, and immunity for 1 turn to self and all Thunderbolt allies. This attack gains 500% extra focus and cannot be blocked or dodged. And the T4 on this, which I have down as a high value T4, is going to add an additional 50%, so that is 400% damage outright. In raids, apply immunity for 2 turns to self and all Thunderbolt allies. And that additional immunity makes it a high value T4. Immunity stops you from being controlled, and that is very important in this game. Solar Rush is his ultimate, and again, he is going to start off with this ability. He is going to attack all enemies for 350% damage and apply defense down for 2 turns and bleed for 2 turns. He's going to reduce the speed bar of the primary target by 30%. So between him and Songbird, you can rewind someone to death, and then Ghost is going to just add to the rewind and the conundrum there. It's going to gain counter and safeguard for 2 turns. In raids, if this character has 4 or more Thunderbolt allies, he's going to steal 1 ability energy from every enemy. Now, we've had a character like this before, which was Void Knight, and he was very, very impactful. Being able to steal 1 ability energy is from every enemy, rather than he was just down to 1 enemy, Void Knight, but Hyperion is stealing it from all enemies. He's also going to gain immunity for 2 turns, which is really good. This attack cannot miss, and in raids, this attack cannot be dodged. The T4 on this, which I have down as an essential T4, adds an additional 100% damage to all enemies, so that is 450% damage. It's going to steal up to 3 ability energy from each enemy. That's right, you are going to be able to basically strip your opponent so they can't do their special, they can't do their ultimate, and they're probably going to be left just basicking you for their first attack. And then he's going to apply +1 counter. So that is 3 counter attacks to himself and all Thunderbolt allies. It's pretty good, right? And his passive is Eternal Radiance. On spawn, he's going to gain defense up for 2 turns to self and all allies. He's going to also apply Safeguard for 2 turns to self and all Thunderbolt allies. So that is brilliant. That basically means that your abilities can't be stripped outside of that Rain of Fire from Thanos Endgame or his ultimate ability. Thanos Endgame's ultimate, that will strip the safeguards off, which will then allow the other abilities to be stripped off. But apart from that, no stripping of your abilities. The first time this character drops below 50% health. Now note, Victoria Hand will heal him once he's dropped below 50% health as well. He's going to clear all negative effects on self. He's going to heal himself for 40% of his max health. He is going to reduce the duration of taunt on this character by 2, and any positive effect that has a duration of 0 expires immediately. So he's going to drop taunt, and then if this character has 4 or more Thunderbolt allies, enemies cannot gain counter. The T4 on this, which I have down as essential, again, it's a turn-based game. If this character has 4 or more Thunderbolt allies, the first time this character gets attacked, fill speed bar for self and all Thunderbolt allies by 30%. Again, turn-based game, filling our speed bar by 30%. That might mean that we get to get a character get ahead of someone. And so that is very, very essential where this is all concerned. And now the time you have all been waiting for. That is right, it is infographic time. And here you have it. Now, some of you will notice that I have not put any of these characters down to gear tier 20. I want you guys to remember that these infographics are made for everyone. They're not made for just one specific bucket of spender. They are made for all people. G19 is the minimum I would build this team to. Obviously, if you have excess G20 gear, then brilliant. But some of us are still chasing Professor Xavier, and so you would want to put G20 on your Professor Xavier choices. Now, I want to go over a bit of this. So we have some global villains here in both Ghost and Taskmaster. Both of them are global villains. One is skill, one is tech, which we already have an issue with because you need a lot of skill gear in the city section for the vigilantes, and you need a lot of tech gear in the global villain section for Orcus. And remember that Orcus and Vigilante were the 2 teams that they recommended, and they do actually have buffs in game on that Professor Xavier saga. So both Ghost and Taskmaster, as well as using more of the or the same classes of T or G20 mini uniques, you know, being tech and being skill, as we are already using, I don't feel that they are a very good choice. Next up, we have Global Hero, but on Global Hero, there are war buffs active, which is why Liberty are so good in the Global Hero section. So Victoria Hand and Songbird, wouldn't actually be any good in that area, or they might be some good, but they wouldn't be as good as the Liberty characters that you can already use in Global Hero. Finally, we have Hyperion, and he is a cosmic hero. Now, yes, potentially you could take him into the cosmic hero section, but remember, again, Cosmic Crucible and Starjammer buffs are on those cosmic hero nodes. It is written into the saga itself, which means that Starjammers are the go-to team. They are a Cosmic Crucible team, and they are global heroes. So they are a go-to team for that Professor Xavier saga. So I can't, in good faith, recommend taking anyone at the moment to gear tier 20. Obviously, if you are post Professor Xavier, take them to gear tier 20, not a problem. Songbird, Taskmaster, and Hyperion are all real good candidates for Raider. They are attacking multiple enemies with their attacks, and they, in some of them, they have increased crit damage. So that is a really good call for Raider. The only striker on this team I have is Ghost, and that is because her basic is so good. That 25% speed bar rewind is brilliant and makes her a absolute shoo-in as a striker. Now, she also has the bleeds, and that is what I was saying about earlier. Striker also affects your bleed damage, which is, again, another plus for putting Ghost as a striker. Now, controversially, some people had Victoria Hand down as striker from an early doors. I actually think healer is going to be a better class for her. It is going to remove vulnerables from your team. It is also going to increase the healing that she does, and she is the sustain of the team. She is the healer. She's the energy battery. She needs to stay alive. So those regenerations and everything that having the healer Iso-8 on her gives is very, very key. Now, the only character that I would say needs a second Iso-8 class is Hyperion. When you first unlock him, as he is the tank of the team, he is going to taunt. You want him really as a fortifier. That is just going to give him that little bit extra ability and survivability at those low stars. However, once you hit the 5+ stars, chuck him over to a Raider and go at it. And that's your full breakdown of the Thunderbolts, locked, loaded, and ready to tear through the bio raid lane. Why don't you let me know in the comments down below what you think of the Thunderbolts? Are you excited for this team? Links for the infographic will be in the description down below. Don't forget, if this video has helped you out, drop it a like, subscribe for more Marvel Strike Force guides and breakdowns, and share this with your alliance. I've got more content on the way to keep your roster strong and your strategy sharp. And until next time, Commanders, don't forget, stay positive.